So I thought this was something that was within the past maybe couple of years, 3, 4 years, but it's actually been going on for longer. It's been probably like a couple of decades. It's kind of frustrating, and I feel terrible for those people that have had to go through this, and it has changed them in such ways that they can't think for themselves. Um, so, like right now, where we got people getting in trouble for watching their kids in their classes online, teacher gets pissed off. That's just a small example. There's many more examples of this if you go and look it up. Just like where they were saying there was a time where they mailed a letter to people saying that they had to sign it and everything, saying that they wouldn't be in the room while their child was in class. They couldn't be around it while their child was in class. And it's more or less, what are they not necessarily hiding, it's just what are they telling these children? And I feel it breaks down to, it's more or less the teacher at this point is trying to put this stuff in their head of agree with me or I'll fail you. And it's pretty pathetic, honestly. It's especially like if you say, like, there's this one teacher, and these children were 17 going on 18, if not 18, in this class. And he says to them, I know who I'm voting for. It's coming up to voting time. I'm voting for such and such. I'm not going to say a name, but who are you going to vote for? Kind of like that's kind of a stab, like, like, I'm the teacher, you should vote for who I'm voting for. That's kind of a messed up thing to do. People are taught not to think freely anymore, is how I feel. Uh, I thought it was more or less, going on now where it's just, these children are going through this biased system. And it could be biased towards anything you want it to be. It's also up to the teacher what the bias is. That's what I'm getting at. And it's wrong. You should go in there and just teach history as it is, whether or not you agree with it or not, as the teacher. If you go in there and teach fact, whether or not it pisses you off, then you're doing your job. But if you go in there and you're basically forcing people to think the way that you do without teaching them to think freely, that's wrong. I was taught to question everything, even by the teachers that I was with at school. Like, they always said, this is what happened. It's up to you to think how you want to think on it, but they never put their own personal beliefs into anything. They just taught us what we were taught. We went with the program and everything like that. I still remember a teacher that I had talking about the Spanish War, I think, where the boat, they say in the history books, our boat went down, caused the war, and we say that we were the ones attacked and the boat went down. And he said, in all reality, what had happened is the boiler for the boat was right next to the ammunition room, which blew up and it sank the boat, and we used that as propaganda to fuel a war. That's an honest move. That's a good move right there. That's trying to teach people the truth. That's different than trying to teach people your own personal bias. Now, it's just like you went on to say as well, like, people think the biggest cash crop back when the country was started was just tobacco. Marijuana was involved there too. Sorry if that pisses anybody off, but it was involved there too. Just like, like all the stuff to make alcohol, your barley, hops, wheat. There was many things. Hemp was used quite a bit. Constitutions wrote on hemp paper. But, that's my point. Like, rather than keeping the facts from people and teaching them to have an open mind, why sit there and teach them your own bias? Or bias. As a teacher, you should be teaching people to think for themselves and use their brain to decide what should be right or should be wrong, or what is fact and what is not fact. Just like books, fictional, non-fictional. That's the way it is. Like documentary versus science fiction book. Don't sit there and put science fiction in their head when there's a documentary to prove that there's everything wrong with what you said. It's absolutely wrong, and it's not the right thing to do. And I hope that maybe some teacher will look at this and think it through what they're doing to these children that's been going on for a lot longer than I thought was going on. When I was a kid, I'm grateful for the teachers I had because they taught me a lot of very good things and they taught me a lot of morals. And not once did they ever put their specific beliefs into it, but they were there to try and teach us to be polite, to be right and wrong. And when I say right and wrong, it means just to use our head to decide what is actually right and wrong. Use your fucking conscience. And then they would teach us the actual facts and tell us about those. But they wouldn't sit there and put their bias on us. So I would hope that somebody would hear this and see it through in the future.